Welcome, Julia. Thank you so much for being on here. It's so awesome to have you. And for all of you who don't know her work, you're about to, and also you're about to explode. Like, I'm so lucky to like catch you right now. Like, seriously, I have just been looking at all your work and everything, and your following is just it's multiplying like crazy, right? And those videos are breathtaking in San Luis Obispo. I mean, great job. Like, wow. Your whole story of how you started your art is just super special. And so we're going to get to that. And I did just write a little ditty here about Julia's music, which we'll have the pleasure of hearing at the end of this. And what came to me was just Julia Freifeld is using her voice to spread awareness and healing for both sexual victims as well as predators. Her music pierces to the soul of the matter, which is, of course, our shared humanity and our societal pain. With so much in the media that furthers victimization, division, and fear, I found her messages real, raw, and uniting. I wanted to start out with just the story of your music and how amazing it is that you're also an entrepreneur who just graduated college and is starting her career. And then you had this soul expression that needed to come out. So just tell us why and how and...
Wow, it's kind of a long process in the making. So I've always been passionate about singing. My parents told me that I was singing even before I was speaking. And I got into songwriting in high school, and it just immediately became my passion. I growing up from a very young age, I was always writing poetry. I just would write nonstop. And so when I went to college, my life changed a lot. So in the first week of college, 2 of my closest friends were sexually assaulted, and this really stuck with me and really just changed my whole perspective, and it opened my eyes to what's going on and how much of an epidemic sexual violence is. And so I became involved in this cause, and I started working at a few different organizations, doing crisis counseling work for survivors. And all of this just happened in the span of a year, and it was very overwhelming. And there's such beautiful, real stories of overcoming trauma, and it's just looking into these people's souls and seeing how they're able to come out of such a horrible situation. It just made me very passionate. And when I'm passionate about something, I just start writing music about it, because that's the only way I can process my emotions. I started writing songs about the topic of sexual violence in college. And when I posted the first song ever on my Facebook, it got 10,000 views in the first 2 days. And I was like, what is happening? This is crazy. And I had an inpour of survivors messaging me on Facebook, saying how much my music touched them and helped them heal. And I was blown away, because I'd never really posted my music before. And so it just opened my eyes that I potentially, I do have the power to heal with my voice. And so ever since then, I've been writing a lot of music on the topic, really trying to raise awareness as well as help survivors heal in their healing process. And it's just been such an incredible journey, and I'm so excited about life, and about music and everything. So that's really kind of it all started.
And it also led you even deeper than making music. I'm so excited to actually be getting some jewels for change from you.
Yeah.
And that's also along the same lines and the same premise you're working with there. If you want to, tell us about that.
So Jewels for Change was started earlier this year. And so I'd been doing crisis counseling work and writing songs for about 3 years at that point. And it was just, even though it's a very positive thing to write music and really try to heal people in such a hard situation, it's really hard to be surrounded by, that trauma that everyone's carrying with them, all the survivors I was working with. So, and at the organization I was working at called Rise, 10 to 11 months out of the year, our safe shelters were completely full. So that meant that if people were in even a life or death situation, they weren't getting the help that was so crucial to them. And also our full-time therapists, there was about a 6-week waiting list. And so people that needed help and that needed counseling that day couldn't get it for almost 2 months. So, and that's kind of the trend across the country, unfortunately, with these organizations. So this was just heartbreaking for me, because every single day at my job, I was turning away people that were so in need, and just it was horrible. There was people that lost their lives. And so I was thinking, like, how can I help this cause in a greater way? Like, being a crisis counselor is amazing, but I want to do more. So I was one day at the beach. It kind of happened randomly, and I was like looking at sea glass, and I was just thinking about how beautiful sea glass is. And then I was like thinking about sea glass's story, and I was like, wow, sea glass has gone through some real trauma in the ocean. It gets tossed around. It has a hard, time, and then it comes to shore and is this beautiful, glistening reminder that when people, or when anything goes through a hard thing, it can come out this beautiful piece of stone and a piece of glass. And so that's how kind of Jewels for Change started. And so I started making jewelry, and all of it has sea glass in it. And it kind of just represents the journey of a survivor going through those rough ocean waters and then coming out this beautiful piece of art. And so I donate 20% of proceeds from this organization to organizations that work with survivors of sexual violence. And yeah, as it expands, I am going to be trying to donate a higher and higher percentage. And I really want to end up making this a national organization, so no survivor is ever turned away from the services that are so crucial to their healing process.
Very cool.
That's kind of the overview.
I wanted to go back to what you said about being turned away from that. I think maybe a lot of people think that happens in circumstances where, it's a poor area and things. But I actually taught yoga at a safe house in Boulder, and the same thing. It was always full, and Boulder County is one of the wealthiest counties in Colorado and probably the nation. So, it's very disturbing that not only can people who are in these abusive situations not get away, but it's also disturbing to know so many people in abusive situations feel like they need a safe house. And just for people who don't understand what that is, that means that you need somebody to protect your identity. Like, that is a shelter so that nobody knows where you are. Like, the people I worked with, I couldn't take pictures of mom and daughter doing yoga together. We cheated, and I sent her one because she didn't have any technology and she wanted a picture for later, and I emailed it to her. But you're not even supposed to do that, like it's strictly for the safety of these women. That's how serious it is. Mm-hmm. So,
yeah, like I said, unfortunately, a lot of the times it really was a life or death situation, and so yeah, so when people are coming to the safe shelters, they're on their last leg. This is, I need to get out of this house right now. I don't feel safe here. So not being able to provide that resource is just really, really heartbreaking.
Yeah. Well, thank you for, caring about that. And I also wanted to touch on, I'm going to be interviewing you for our section on Shakti, which is Muses of Musical Medicine, which is where we accentuate the point. Music really is medicine, and because it has this emotional quality, and it also transcends our gender, our race, all of these things that supposedly divide us, because in the human emotion, we, that is a place of oneness that we all experience, grief and loss and betrayal and love and joy and freedom, so I wanted to just get your feedback on, is there any impetus in making your music to kind of combat the music that is in the mainstream? What's your take on the music in the mainstream? And could music, if it can be medicine, can it actually be detrimental?
Yes, okay. That's a lot. Okay, so
Sorry.
yes, music can be healing and music can be extremely detrimental. And I have a big problem with mainstream music. And I don't think anyone's evil for listening to mainstream music because it's fun and you can dance to it, but I don't think people are realizing the messages that are being spread in mainstream music. And I'm not talking everything, but just a lot of the, rap and hip hop genres. There's a lot of degrading lines, and I think when you're in a club and the music's really loud and you're dancing, you don't really pay attention to the fact that one of the songs casually just mentioned raping someone, and which the number one song on the hot list does mention that casually, and that's a song that I had my response to, Rockstar, just because it just made me furious, because when you actually sit down and you read the lyrics of these songs, it's just horrifying. And I think in a certain way it's absorbed into people's subconsciouses and it kind of affects the way that they see everything, that the way that when music is casually calling women bitches, then maybe they're going to casually do the same thing because that's what they see as acceptable. If the number one song on the Hot 100 list is saying that, then why couldn't I? And so I think a lot of societal issues and rape culture does stem from mainstream music. But on the flip side, I think that if mainstream music was putting out positive messages that really were helping people heal, then we would have a very different society. And I don't think people realize how central music is to our society, and how much it affects the culture of a society.
Mm-hmm. And I think people, because our music in the mainstream has become, for lack of a better word, dumbed down. And I really do feel like, if we're talking about yoga or like the psychology of the chakras, I'm not sure if you're familiar at all with it a little bit, but the music keeps us in, our first three chakras. So survival, and then, sex, drugs, rock and roll, which is the second chakra, and then the ego. But like we used to have music more about like the heart and and seeing actual reality. I mean, the whole 60s music was all about seeing the deeper meanings in life and what's actually going on. And so I feel that people are really yearning, and maybe that's why and maybe, I don't know, as a musician you probably know more than me and are talking to fellow musicians and things about this, but I feel like people are like thirsty, like parched for deeper human meaning.
Yeah. And I think when music tells a story, it really heals someone because there's so much connectedness in the human spirit, and we go through so many of the same experiences and journeys that when a song tells a story, so like one of my songs like tells a story of a survivor of sexual violence, someone can hone in on those feelings because healing is such an emotional process, and you having someone who sings this kind of topic, it brings a different perspective to that human experience. And I think that goes for every type of storytelling within music. And it's very sad that there's not really stories being told. It's kind of just, it feels like it's just filling in the blank space with random beats and derogatory words.
Yeah,
meanings.
Totally. Well, it's refreshing to find your music because of that. You also just launched a brand new website for Jewels for Change, right?
Yes, I did. I finally did it. It took me forever. I'm very technologically challenged, as you can tell from this whole trying to set up this video. But I launched it. It's jewelsforchange.com. Go check it out. So it's finally on the interweb. Before that, I was just selling in person, and so it's just really cool to enter this whole different world, I guess.
And when people buy Jewels for Change for their loved ones for the holidays, which I want to encourage everyone to do, you're contributing to localizing economy, sustaining actual artisans, you know, sustainable living, all these things which we want to contribute to. And also, in this case, Julia, you're taking these funds and building a little something with it, right?
Yeah. Oh, I'm trying to build the company right now. What specifically?
The Jewels for Change. You were thinking that you're building it into being the, you know, one day safe house kind of supplier. Are you thinking that's going to start somewhere? Or are you thinking that you're going to help fund places to expand them?
That's my goal, is to be able to fund other organizations. So I really want to be able to help all organizations get all of the safe houses they need so that no one is left in a dangerous situation. And beyond that, I think it's so important on the prevention side of things to implement educational systems that teach young kids how to deal with emotions in a healthy way, and that teach middle schoolers what a healthy relationship looks like and what consent looks like, because these things are being taught when it's too late, if they're being taught at all. So there's two sides to the coin that I really am trying to tackle with Jewels for Change.
Yeah, I think with young girls and boys both, also we need more practice at being taught how to say no and how to receive no. Not one sex or the other, both. In our society, it's been turned into this very personal thing. If somebody says no, then they don't like me, or then, you know, whatever. And it's really a cause for a lot of sexual violence. Like, you know, so I think that's a big thing in our society is I don't know, we've somehow gotten away from the importance of, you know, yes and no have the same level of importance, you know. It just depends on what it is, and that really is free choice, you know, that's freedom. Being able to say no without your friend, you know, not liking you because of it.
Yeah. It's just interesting to me how the whole like idea of no and the idea of consent has become kind of this taboo thing that people don't want to like talk about, whereas that's the most important thing. I mean, it should be something that is a natural thing that doesn't make anyone feel like they're being weird, because asking someone is not weird. It should be the norm.
And receiving a no, we need to learn that isn't personal either, you know, that
exactly.
And it's an interesting thing. I never really thought about it, so I'm glad we dug that one up. So as far as supporting your music, can people buy your music somewhere?
Okay, so I really, in just the last month, have started promoting my music, and this is all kind of just happening really fast. I am coming out with an EP in December, and it's with my band Cake the Bakery, which is also just forming this month. It's all music has always been my passion, and it's always been something that I love, but it hadn't been something that I really was prepared to do as a career. But then it kind of just randomly hit me. Like, really, it just hit me in one day. I woke up, I was like, I have to do music as a career somehow, some way. Just about
so awesome.
So
do what you love.
So right now, all my music's free. Not making any money.
And they can find it on YouTube, on SoundCloud, on your website?
Yeah.
Do you have a music website?
That's happening right now. I will have a lot of updates with what's happening with music, but I do plan to start releasing my stuff on Spotify and Tidal and different platforms like that.
And we'll have more updates on that, because her interview for Shakti will be late December, and so then hopefully that LP will have dropped, and we'll be able to help promote that as well.
We're getting there. So I decided to play actually the first song that I ever did write about sexual assault, because I don't know, it kind of just jump-started my passion for writing songs about awareness, and I felt like that was really just the beginning of something special, so I kind of wanted to bring it back to that. I actually hadn't sang this song for like over a year. So it was like, I was just practicing it before, and it was like, wow, like, I need to sing this song more. It makes me feel so full of life. Like, I can really change things. So, the song is called Sexual Assault Awareness, not very creative name. And it's kind of a song about what a survivor's going through compared to what society feels like a survivor's going through. And I think it's more applicable now than ever with, you know, all these cases coming out and so many people defending the perpetrators, and it's just such a battle between what a survivor is feeling and what people think the survivor should be feeling. And that just, it really frustrates me that there's so much debate over what someone who'd been through so much trauma is allowed to feel. And so, so this is a song about that. Awesome. And I'm actually, because I normally do it on piano, but I just kind of like rediscovered it. I was just like playing around with it on guitar. And so I kind of, it's like a bit of a different version of the song, a little bit more upbeat. And I'm actually going to have my boyfriend accompany with it on guitar.
Awesome! You guys are so sweet. Yay!
Yeah, he's like my musical partner. It's called Cake the Bakery, and it's just us two. He does all the... Well, where is he? Oh, you can kind of see. He does all the, like... Here, let's... so it's called Cake the Bakery, and he just randomly, this last, like, month, kind of picked up audio engineering and happens to be brilliant at it. So we're kind of recreating a whole different kind of sound that is very different from my singer-songwritery kind of things. But it's just really exciting because so we met freshman year of college, and we immediately formed a band because both of us were super passionate about music. And then we've been kind of musical partners for the past 4 years.
Oh my gosh, that's the best.
Step 1, chin up, look the part. Step 2, you weren't hurt in the dark. Step 3, what you're crying about. Step 4, everyone knows you're lying, no doubt. Step 5, you were asking for it. Step 6, you're just afraid to take the hit. We know what you did last night. You were there all along, soaking in the spotlight. Something changed my mind, rearranged. I feel a strange something died. When you were on top, my mind seemed to stop, my heart seemed to drop, but I was asking for it right. I was asking for it right. Oh, my dress was on too tight. If I didn't want it, I'd put up a fight. I was asking for it right. Oh, my dress was on too tight. I should have just put up a fight. Step 7, why'd you not tell him no? Step 8, you should've told him just to go. Step 9, he's such a nice and cool guy. Step 10, you couldn't even hurt a fly. Step 11, you took a shot or two. Step 12, what you'd expect him to do. You were all over him last night. You couldn't help it even if he tried. Just 'cause you don't want him to doesn't mean that you can tell him what to do. And just 'cause you're afraid doesn't mean your mind can change. Doesn't make it okay to try and run away. Something changed in my mind, rearranged. I feel a strange something die where you were on. My mind seemed to stop, my heart seemed to drop, but I was asking for it right. I was asking for it right. Oh, my dress was on too tight. If I didn't want it, I'd put up a fight. I was asking for it right. Oh, my dress was on too tight. I should have just put up a fight. So when you see a girl tonight, won't you help her be alright? Won't you give a helping hand? Together we can all stand.
I have heard the piano version of that song because actually it was one of the songs. I didn't discover that one on your Instagram. I discovered that one later. And that was one of the ones that like drew me in more like, whoa, this girl's for real. She's not just got a little talent. And but the piano version, you're right, it's so much more eerie.
It's funny because it's like the same song, the same meaning, but with like a different kind of...
And it almost feels a little more like edgy for the victim. It's like rah, you know, instead of more of the weepy like sorrow. Yeah.
Instead of her. Yeah, I like it. Yeah, I've been really trying to kind of find like a empowering like fire, and I feel like that kind of started with the Rockstar response. Like I was like, I could sing about like how sad and heartbreaking it is to, you know, be broken by this, which, you know, is a good thing that people can connect with. Or I can say this happened to me, but I'm gonna be a badass and stand up and keep fighting for what's right. And so I kind of really had that like perspective shift a little bit. And so I've been trying to bring more like fire and passion into it.
Nice. And you know what? I think with that song, like you could honestly do so many different things. You could do like a hip hop R&B version. You could get the girl. You could get a choir together, like a girls thing.
That would be so cool.
That song is like. That song is honestly the reason I fell in love with your work. Like, because it just reaches in. Like, if you've been through anything like that, no matter what end you're on, like it's like wow. You're just in this place of empathy that just the whole situation is like wrong, and we can see that, you know.
And what I think that is powerful about that song is because it kind of has both perspectives, and in a way, like if someone who doesn't really understand it and doesn't really understand the concept of like sexual violence, it can kind of be like, oh wait, maybe this person is going through something. You know, maybe I shouldn't say like, you were asking for it, weren't you? Or maybe I shouldn't like comment on what they were wearing. And then on the other side, it's like survivors. They're like, oh my gosh, like this is what I've been through, and this is what people have made me feel, and this is what I'm really feeling. And so, yeah, I try to like really have both perspectives come in and be.
That's what makes it super powerful. Thank you so much. That was amazing.
Oh, thank you.
And we're going to stay tuned with you. I'm going to develop some deeper questions. If any of you guys have had questions that you want in Julia's interview for Shakti Journal, leave those in the comments here, and I would love to consider them when I'm writing that interview. And also go to julesforchange.com, check out her new website.
And also one thing I wanted to say about the website, right now I'm doing this promotion where if you buy 2 or more, you'll get a discount, just because I really want to spread the love and encourage people, if there's like a survivor that they want to show their love for, to buy an extra thing for them, so that they really feel connected to you, your support, and like your understanding of what they're going through.
Amazing. Yeah, we'll definitely share that around.
I'm wearing one. This is you.
Oh, talk again.
So, yeah. So this is like the teal color. It's the lightest of the 3, and it's all 100% sterling silver. And I wire wrap each of them, and then connected to sterling silver. I'm a swimmer, swim it every day. It really has lasted for a long time. It's an awesome. I really try to put the best quality I can into the jewelry I make. I just want to comment on the fact that I am starting a jewelry company, and I understand that that's kind of geared towards women, and I don't want people to think that I'm under the impression that sexual violence only happens to women, because I know that it happens regardless of, you know, anything. It can happen to any person, and so the next thing that I'm developing within Jewels for Change is kind of gender neutral gear, so that anyone can, you know, feel empowered by it and join the Jewels for Change community. So I just want to like put that out there, so no one feels like it's an exclusive thing for one gender.
Yay! I love it. I love it. Well, I look forward to everything, and I feel lucky to have stumbled upon you early in the game. You're a goddess, and I just so excited to dance to more of your music and
Thank you so much for having me. It's been so cool to like have someone recognize what I'm doing. It seriously means the world to me. This is my first ever interview.
Yay!
I'm a little nervous.
You did amazing.
Thank you. I seriously appreciate your support so much. Just knowing that someone's out there that really cares about what I do is the reason why I want to keep doing this. So thank you. And thank you to everyone who's watching. It means so much to me.
Yes.